Hello, everyone. This is Martin Rooney, and we are live with another Friday episode of The Big Idea. And I have to say that this may be the biggest idea I have for you yet. This idea is one that I have been working on for actually years, and today I cannot wait to share it. But before we share it, I want to share a little glimpse into my life about where kind of this big idea came from. So does everybody see right here that right here, every one of these bookshelves, and we're going to go through it a little bit, these bookshelves are filled, yes, with books. And I have a personal rule. Maybe you like it. The personal rule is the book cannot go on the bookshelf until I have read it. And what you are looking at right there, I believe that a man is a reflection of the books that he's read and the people that he's met. And guys, I got about 1,400 books on this shelf. Took me 20 years to do it. And that is the topic that we're going to go over today. And it starts a little something like this. So this week, I have presented in Orlando for about 500 people, setting them on fire. Before that, I did a masterclass on coaching at a facility in Orlando as well. Then yesterday, I flew back from New York where we held a charity event and lit the place on fire and got everybody excited. And I kept getting the same question. The same question kept becoming, Martin, how do you do it? I mean, I just can't be like you. You're just so talented, the way that you speak and the things that you write. And then I see those challenges that you're doing and how much you lift. You're so lucky. And guys, if you knew how much hard work went behind it, you wouldn't think I was that lucky at all. And that is the big idea today, now that so many people from around the world are joining us. And for everybody jumping in right now, I am standing in front of my treasure, my ultimate trophy case. This is my bookshelf in which the books can only get on that shelf if they've been read. So I'll stand by it a little bit. This is my Zen section right there, my science section down there. I move over to motivation and some of my favorites. Then we get into business. Then we get into travel. Then we get into sports and fitness. Then we keep moving into biography, and from biography into nutrition and more sport, then adventure and fiction, which I believe you should read, and then deep into the martial arts. And then these other two shelves, all about business, all about marketing, all about writing, all about speaking. Like, these are the areas that, hey, your library will be a reflection. It will be a reflection of who you are and what you want to be. So if you want Guinness World Records just sitting around your house, if you want an office that is pretty cool. So I am taking you right now into TFW HQ right here and giving you a little glimpse of my life. But I'll say this too. Those books, just like your checkbook, are a reflection of who you are and what you're interested in. But none of that is the big idea today. Now we're going to get into the big idea because we've got people coming in from all over the world. I gave you time, and here is the big idea. Here's the big idea. I love training, and when I'm training, I always see people in shirts, and the shirts will always have some kind of motto on the back. And I've had these different mottos throughout my 30-year history in sport shared with me. And one in particular, it was given to me by Joe Ken, NFL Strength Coach of the Year, Collegiate Strength Coach of the Year, and good friend, current coach of the Carolina Panthers. And he gave me this shirt when we were working together at Arizona State. And the shirt said, 15 years ago, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And I'm going to be honest right now. You know what? I wore the shirt. I already liked the shirt. I always liked the shirt, but I didn't believe it. I don't think I really believed it. You know what I did? I would wear the shirt, but I'd be like, no, talent really is better. It's those people that are just so talented. That superstar that's just born that way. I can never be like that. I mean, I really work hard, but I can't be like those people. Even I didn't believe it. But then I started to dig deeper. I started to dig deeper into my own personal story. And today, you're going to see that I have come to the conclusion whether hard work really beats talent or not. And I think this is going to be the master class, the master course, not only on talent, but it is going to really point the finger back at you and show you today that you can do anything. And I'm going to give you the blueprint on how to do it. So my desk, for everybody that knows, my desk right here is always covered with books. My desk is always covered with books. And today, I'll show it right here. Today we are going to be covering these 8 books. So these 8 books, I am going to cover them in depth. They all cover very similar ideas about the topic that I think is very interesting about it is that I don't know if people really believe it or not, or if they're listening. So that shirt, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Here's another one. It's not what you're born with, it's what you do with it. Here's another one. It's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. And then you know that classic, it's not hard work, it's smart work. Are those true? Do you believe those? Well, you know what? I'm about to show you that I'm just not a motivational guy. Guys, I'm also a research guy. And what I do is I go to the greats. So we have got some of the top psychological analysts in the world that I will be pulling from on these topics, who they also pull deeply into the research for the last 100 years about talent and or hard work, and we are going to have our answers. So let us begin. First thing, if you want to be talented, yes, there is nature versus nurture. There are some genetic things. You've heard the classic, right? You can't teach talent. I can't make you 7 feet tall, but that is not the reason to give up. You can be better. And how do you get better? What's the first step in talent? What's the first step that everybody will agree with? It's not just practice. It's something called deliberate practice. So does everybody see that there? Deliberate practice. And let's talk about what that means. So you can practice something, but that doesn't mean you're going to get better. You can practice something wrong and continue to do it wrong forever and not be talented. But deliberate practice is designed. You need to design it every time, working towards something to be better. You should repeat it again and again and again. Have you ever heard, for all my German listeners right now, Übung macht den Meister. It means exercise makes the master. I believe that deep in my guts. I was not a writer. Now I've written, I just finished my 11th book. I was not a good reader. I just showed you 1,400 on my shelves. I was never a speaker, terrified to be in front of people. Now I don't have that fear anymore. I was in front of hundreds and hundreds just this week. Übung macht den Meister. You have to do the practice, but the practice has to be deliberate. It's got to be designed. You have to repeat it over and over. And this is very important. It's going to be demanding, and it's not always going to be fun. You want to be good at the violin? It's going to be demanding. You have to play more challenging pieces. You want to be better in the gym? Then you're going to have to continue to put more weight on the bar. You're going to have to do more. And that's the piece that I think people don't understand, right? Is that, guys, you have to love the practice for the sake of practice. And I'm going to go deeper into that, how you do it today. But the first step that I just wanted to understand is the first step on talent is that you've got to practice whatever it is you want to do, and you've got to do it a lot. And I'm going to repeat this over and over again. We're going to go through this a little bit. When I say you got to practice it a lot, maybe you've heard this little nugget, right? So let me show you the books. The first thing, look at that book right there. Great book to read if you want to enjoy it, but I'm going to give you the summary right now. Talent is Overrated by Colvin. This is the one that got me started on this process. He pretty much says, hey, SAT scores, hey, your intelligence scale, that is not going to be the ultimate measure of success. And by looking at that, he had to dig deeper into, well, how are these people becoming successful? Where was the success coming from? And there was always this history of practice. It was deliberate, but that's where they started to come up with the 10,000 hour or 10-year rule. So listen to that. 10,000 hours. I know you've heard it. How do I know you've heard it? Because this book, The Talent Code, it talks about the 10,000 hours. It talks about how myelin is laid down when you practice over and over, and then your nervous system conducts the electrical impulses better and faster, and you become more talented. So talent is also ingrained. Talent is something you can create. You should get excited about that. But then this guy, Malcolm Gladwell with the book Outliers. He really dove into the 10,000 hour rule, showing again and again and again that it was the practice. Übung macht den Meister, the practice made perfect. The things that people did over and over, that's how they got good. But it was also the timing of that. You had to be in the right place at the right time. And all of these 3 books, what they also talked about, what I want to talk about right now before we get into the 10,000. Well, first the 10,000 hours. 10,000 hours. 3 hours a day, every day. You know how long it takes to get to 10,000 hours? Over 9 years. So 10,000 hours or 10 years, that's how it's going to work. You practice every day. You do that thing, and you could be known as the best in the world. I believe it. The science shows it. What do you think? So we got 10,000 hours. Let's even add a year because you might take the weekends off. 10,000 hours, 10 years. That's another way to potentially be great. But there's one piece in there. There's one piece in there that's really important. And that piece is, they also said you have to have a good coach. See, this is the part that got me excited. And for anybody listening that's a fitness trainer, anybody listening that's coaching people, or anybody that's listening that's a parent, you have a big role in talent. You are a person. You got to be a good coach. You have to be an optimistic coach. You have to be a supportive coach and a demanding coach. And that's just not me saying it. See, that's not on the back of a t-shirt. See, that is the science saying it over and over and over again. I'm just a little conduit of motivation to bring you the message in a different way. But now we are backing it up, and it gets me excited. So, are you optimistic with the people that you work with? Are you fired up? Can it happen for them? Are you supportive, and are you demanding? Always asking for a little bit more. Hey, I know one thing. Myself as a coach, I try to be all 3, and maybe that's one of the secrets how come I keep seeming to produce talent everywhere I go. Think about that. But, so, is it hard work or smart work? What did you think? So we're attacking one of those lines. Hard work or smart work? What do you think? You know what I would say? I would say it's smart work. See, if you just work hard, but you do it wrong, you're not going to get any better. But if you work smart with deliberate practice, you will already have one piece of the puzzle towards developing talent. Now, the next piece, look at this one. This was a big book for me, another big series of research. You have to have something called a growth mindset. Where did I get that one from? This is Carol Dweck, a book called Mindset. If you're a parent, if you're a coach, you need to read this book. This book will change how you think. It will scare you. You know why? Because you may be culprit of making people have a fixed mindset. You may be culprit without even knowing it. And how do I know that? Because I was doing it. My children, I would say, you're so smart. You're doing great. Oh, you're amazing. You're so talented. And you know what that does? That creates a fixed mindset. Then they only want to do things to look smart. They're going to avoid challenges. They're going to give up when something gets hard. They're going to avoid criticism. They don't want feedback if they don't look so good. And they are not going to take on things. They're going to get stuck. That's a fixed mindset. But see, a growth mindset, and it's really neat because you can develop it. A growth mindset is a learning mindset. It's somebody that likes challenges. They take on challenges and they persist. They don't give in. They measure, as we're going to talk about in a second, a more critical thing than the results that they get. They like criticism because that's how they're going to get better. And they know that there is a potential to grow. See, I knew I could be a better writer. I knew I could be a better speaker because I had a growth mindset. I was excited about that. And that is one of the pieces how I got better. So what you've got to have is deliberate practice, right? You got to have deliberate practice. You got to practice. You got to have the 10,000 hours, but you got to have a mindset that tells you you can get better. You can't be afraid to move forward. And what are we talking about right there? You want talent? You want talent? Well, there's another word for hard work. And that word is effort. And what's interesting is my studies and in the research, the best in the world value effort. It's the effort that they put in. It's the amount that they did. It's the persistence that they had. And the combination of those things is the next thing I want to talk about. But let's talk about that quote again. So listen to this quote. Do you believe it? Because for everybody that's jumping on right now, I see, hey, we've got 1,000 people on right now. So in a little bit, I want to see where you're all coming in from too. But today we are attacking the comment or the slogan or the mantra or the motto Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Do we believe that? And what is my conclusion? So we're digging deeper. We've covered deliberate practice. We've gone over the growth mindset. And now we're to the point of effort and perseverance. And now the next quote. Which one do you believe? Hey, it's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog. You've heard that one, right? We all love that one. We love to say it. Do you believe it? Do you really believe it deep down? And see, this is the stuff I want you to convince you of today, because all of these quotes are true. They're just not slogans on shirts. They're true. And how do I know that one? Here's a couple other books I want to show you. This book, hey, doing a little Facebook by myself today. This book and this book, Grit by Professor Duckworth, and How Children Succeed. And it's kind of fun, interesting. The last guy's name is Tough, which I thought was neat because grit and toughness and perseverance, it's like the guy's living up to his own name right there. But this one right here, Grit. You know what grit is? If you don't know, read the book. If you don't know, look it up. But grit is one of those determining factors of success. Grit is how much hard work you'll put in. Grit is the perseverance and the combination of passion that you have for something that if you do things long enough, hard enough, you will develop talent. Did you hear that one? Because I'm trying to show you a little bit of my conclusions on what we did. But guys, the best part, people can have it. You can develop it. You can get it. So let me do a little grit. She's got something called the grit scale. I'm going to give you a quicker version on there right now, but let me ask you a few questions to see if you're gritty, to see if you stick with it. Answer these honestly in your head, and you'll start digging deep to see whether you're the best in the world in something or not. So, are you easily distracted by things? Are you always changing from one thing to another? Then maybe not so gritty. Hey, are you discouraged by setbacks? Do you get upset and give up? Like when a setback happens, do you stop or do you move something else? Not gritty. Do you change your goals often? Do you change your career often? Are you always doing something new? Not so gritty. See, that's the opposite of deliberate long-term practice. That's the opposite of the 10,000 hour rule. Do you lose your focus? Do you not finish everything that you start? Do your interests just continue to change over time? If all of those things are happening, not gritty. Now, how do you know you are gritty? Everything you take on, you finish. You stick with things for a long time until you see them through. You're excited by challenges. You're excited by criticism. You have that growth mindset. You're never discouraged by setbacks. You actually get more excited by them. See, that's the gritty, nonstop, unstoppable individual that takes things on, puts in the 10,000 hours. And you know what they call them at the end? Guys, are you ready for the real kicker? Do you know what they call that person that worked those 3 hours a day with deliberate practice, with the right coach in a supportive environment? Do you know what they call them at the end of those 10 years when nobody saw the 10 years? Talented. They call them talented. They call them a genius. They call them a natural. They call them a success. But guys, success and talent, I'm showing you how to manufacture it. But it's not soon that you know how to do it. Will you do it? And how do I know? Again, I'll keep talking about it because I believe, living proof. My SAT score is not so good. I was never labeled as gifted and talented or smart, but I'll tell you this, you're not going to outwork me because I'm gritty. I'm so gritty that I just keep going. I'm going to keep writing when everybody stops. I'm going to keep reading when everybody stops. I'm going to keep training when everybody stops. And then 20 years later, everybody tells you how talented you are. You want to do that? Follow the lessons right here in these books. They're amazing. Will you read the books? Are you gritty enough to read them? Because then it starts to all come together. Now, why are you going to do it? Did you hear what I just said? Are you going to read the books? Well, there's a why. There's a why. Mr. Pink talks about it. It's called drive. See, that's one part of what's your internal motivation. See, I used to have to dig into that with the people that I worked with, the people that I wanted to make talented. Has anybody heard Simon Sinek's book? What's your why? Begin with why. Start with why. Whatever you want to call it. This is about the why. What drives you? Have you dug deep into the tank to figure out what drives you? Because if you know what drives you, maybe you will start that deliberate practice. If you know what drives you, maybe you will accept a little of that feedback and that criticism. Maybe you will put in the 10,000 hours in the next 10 years so they call you a superstar. But you got to dig deep. This is another piece because I'm going to put it all together for you. I'm going to put these 10,000 pages together for you in a couple of sentences in a minute. But again, that drive, that word right there, passion. What are you passionate about? What's your passion? What are you passionate about that you will persevere? And if you're passionate about something and then you persevere, you will have grit. You will be gritty and you will be unstoppable. How do I know that? Because I've read these books with the endless research that goes in them over and over and over. So let's bring it together here for a second for all of the people around the world listening to what we do, getting ready to go into the roar. Here's the next part. I got a little statement for you. Got a little statement of all my research, some of the conclusions, a little summary right here. So do you want to be talented? Does hard work beat talent when talent doesn't work hard? My initial answer right now will be yes and no, because there's more to that. It's not enough, and you're learning what those are, but check this one out. Check this one out. You want to be talented? Here's my little master class right here. Focus on simple tasks, because that's what they are, simple little things. The next thing that's in front of you that you are driven about. So focus on simple tasks that you're passionate about, that you're driven about for a really, really long time, aka 10,000 hours, 10 years. Do your deliberate work, your deliberate practice every day, put it in, and with a growth mindset that you know you can grow and you can do it in a supportive environment, aka with a coach and the right people around you, get away from the cancerous people, you will be successful. So let me read that again to you. You got to focus on simple tasks that you're driven about. You got to do them for a really, really long time with deliberate work over and over, ceaseless in your practice. And you got to have the right mindset, a positive, optimistic growth mindset. And if you do that in a supportive environment with a coach that is supportive, demanding of you, you can do anything. You really can. And I believe that. But the real magic happens after that. Are you ready for the real magic? You ready for the one that puts it all together? The real magic. Hey, there's this book. This one, man, this one's a tough read. I don't know if I recommend it. The guy usually goes by Mike instead of Mihaly. And his real way that I think you say this is Csikszentmihalyi Menti, but however he says his last name, I apologize for butchering it. Interesting book, but I think in some ways a little bit of a challenging read, but he hits on something interesting, that there's this flow state that we hit, that we've practiced so long and we've built up those myelin sheaths like you've heard about in the Talent Code book that I just mentioned. And then you're gritty and you do it for so long and the electrical impulses are automatic, and then you're just in this state of flow. And you're in this state of flow and everything becomes easy and you actually love it. So did everybody hear that? That thing that you do, that you work so hard, that violinist that plays for years, that speaker that trains for years, that person that's in the gym or that athlete that's training for years, eventually they love it. And eventually it becomes bigger. It becomes their purpose. So one final piece that I wanted to put in there is, guys, you got to have a purpose. You got to have a reason why I do what I do, why I speak, why I write, because I'm impacting thousands and thousands and thousands of people around the world every day. I got to be more. I got to do more. And the more that I train, the more automatic it gets. The more automatic it gets, I learn to love it more. And you can do it too, because all of it is there waiting for you. So, in some of my conclusions, are you ready? And I hope that you are enjoying all of this. Today, we were taking on the big idea on those t-shirts. So what it says on those t-shirts, true? Is that just motivational jargon? Hey, does hard work really beat talent when talent doesn't work hard? And I think the answer you're getting today is yes. But I have one to take it even one step further. Hard work leads to talent. And talent comes from hard work. Did everybody hear that? Because that's a Rooney original right there. That's a new Rooney rule. Hard work leads to talent. Talent comes from hard work. You're not born a speaker. You're not born a virtuoso. You may have some of the magic genes all in combination that give you a little something. But guys, it's the hard work and the deliberate practice and the supportive environment and all the things in the long term. That's where the talent comes from. And here is something very important then that you should conclude from my big idea conclusion. Uh-oh. Put that on the back of your shirt, son. Uh-oh. The only thing stopping you is you. Did you hear that? See, the excuses are over, guys. The excuses are over. I wasn't tall enough. My family wasn't this. I didn't have the right that. I don't have enough money. No. Then you're not gritty and you have a fixed mindset and you're not going to put in the time and you're not going to put in the effort. You gave up and therefore you didn't get the talent. So hard work doesn't beat talent. Hard work creates talent. And then when you've got that talent, you do beat the people that don't work hard. Boom! So that is the big idea of the week. The big idea right there. I got one last one because I enjoy taking notes and writing things down. And I hope, guys, the reason I did this today is not to look smart. That's not what I believe. I'm not smart. I'm just gritty. I did this because I want all of you to be better. I just gave you a roadmap to success for yourself, for your kids, for the people that you work with. And all you got to do is do it. All you got to do is get to work. Put one foot in front of the other. But don't take my right here. Don't just take my word for it. Whoop, I'm making a mess of my desk for the big idea. Holy mackerel. And here we go. This is a famous quote right here by Calvin Coolidge, one of my favorites, President Calvin Coolidge. He didn't know the research. He didn't know the stuff, but let me read it to you. And you're going to love it. Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not, because unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not, because the world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent, which means, for everybody that didn't read that one, above all the rest. So, Calvin Coolidge right there, pretty smart, saying what we said. What did he say? Hey, it's not the natural talent you have. That might actually make you worse from what we learned from a fixed mindset. Hey, it's not like how much education you got. There's nothing more famous than a bunch of PhDs that nobody likes and they're not successful. But guys, that gritty growth mindset, hard worker that puts the work in and day out about something that they're passionate about for a long time, seeks out a coach that demands of them in a supportive environment. You, my friends, will be unstoppable. You, my friends, you paragons of talent, will be the leaders of the next generation. And I'm begging you to do it, because with this talent, you can do it. So right there, holy mackerel, I just did a 30-minute masterclass on talent. So what I'm going to do right here, because we got so many people writing in, oh my gosh, I may have to just answer your questions or do your shout outs to everybody. I'll do those online right now, because there are actually way too many for me to go through right here to understand. But hey, I hope I inspired you guys. I hope I inspired you today. I hope I fired you up a little bit. And I hope that you take this message to heart. Took me years and years to figure it out to do that for you. But now it's up to you. There's somebody out there waiting for you to be that coach. You're waiting to be great at something. I know it. I know you want to master something, and now I just gave you the secret to do it. So, what do I put on the back of a shirt that should be your final thing? Hey guys, this is Martin Rooney signing off. And if you want to be great, then you got to go into the roar. Get talented, guys. It's not as tough as you think.